So today we're reviewing Magician by Raymond E Feist, which is a epic fantasy book that was written in 1982, believe it or not, and it's still here, standing the test of time. It follows a orphaned boy named Pug and his friend Thomas. Pug is a magician's apprentice and Thomas is a soldier apprentice, I want to say, and it effectively follows their own journeys together as well as individually following an invasion of like an alien species, life form, group of people into their kingdom. They are both sent on a quest to get rid of them effectively, and it follows their journeys together and separately, the politics along with the kingdom's various kings and lords, as well as how they go about removing or discovering what this alien species is. I listened to this on Spotify audio because it is massive. It's like 800 pages and really teeny tiny text. Oh, I wasn't reading this. And it has all of the tropes that you would expect in an epic fantasy of a quest, a journey of self-discovery, a chosen one hero, if you would say, so on and so forth. So yeah, let's get into the actual review. As I mentioned before, this book definitely follows the tropes of the epic fantasy in the themes that it follows, but also the actual vastness of the world. We've got like global politics, wars, as well as just the story of the individual. So the actual audiobook was great. Like, I really enjoyed the narrator, the voice actor. They were really, really immersive, and the voices that they did were incredible. They're so distinctive between each character. The actual like story itself was good. It just took an absolute age to get anywhere. I think I've got 21 hours and 47 minutes left, and the actual book I think is 30 hours long. So I'm just over 9 hours in, and nothing's really happened. I just gave up. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I DNF'd it, and here's the reasons why. As you would expect for an epic fantasy, the world building is vast. The world is huge, but it's too big. I can't keep up. I am a fantasy reader, but this is probably my first delve into a traditional epic fantasy like Lord of the Rings style, and it was just too much for me. I am all for big worlds and really complex and deep worlds, but this just went too much in the politics and in the kingdoms and the kings and the relations and the hatred and all those sorts of things. It was too much for me. And as you can imagine, book one is, there's two other books that I've got up there, but as you can imagine, if there are two other books, book one is very much about establishing the world, establishing the characters, establishing the plot, and it just dragged on a little bit too much for me. Like I said, I'm 9 hours in and not a lot really has happened. They've been attacked a few times, they discovered an alien species, and they're about 6 months into this quest when it shouldn't have taken that long at all. So it's just not my cup of tea. But that being said, if you do like huge worlds, then this is for you, because there was absolutely no scrimping on any of the details when it came to the characters, the conversations, the political relations, the character dynamics, who they like, who they don't like. That is all in there. So if you like that sort of granularity, then I think you'll like this, but for me it was a bit too much. So much so that I didn't know if certain conversations were actually spurring the plot along or if they were just fillers, like just to have them in there so you had some context. So then it was hard to keep track of what conversations to pay attention to and which ones were just taking up detail in my brain for no reason. Same with like descriptions and introductions of certain characters. I didn't know if they were meant to serve a later purpose, that the author was introducing them really early on and then they would circle back to them. But if they were, I still wouldn't have remembered them later on. I would not have remembered the conversation, all the character detail, all the relevance of a dwarf for some reason that was 20 chapters back. So there was just a bit too much. I think the crux of my review is there's too much. I didn't finish it because it was too long and it was too much for me. But again, as I say, if you are a lover of a big, fat, chunky, epic fantasy and you like the ghouls, the goblins, the dwarves, the wizards, the magicians, the old kings, the medieval setting, then this is definitely going to be you. I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, then I think you're going to like something like this. I've never read anything Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, and I think I'm going to steer clear now. So yeah, overall, the rating, I would say is 2 out of 5 for me personally, but I would probably say maybe it's a 5 out of 5 for those that actually love the genre itself and this type of writing. But for me, it's a 2 out of 5. don't waste your time. It's just a bit too much, a bit too repetitive, a bit too much detail that I just don't think needs to be in there. I feel like this book could definitely be 500 pages. I don't think we needed those extra 300. Yeah, the actual audiobook itself was really good though. So if you do want to read this book and you do really enjoy this book, then I would definitely recommend the audiobook itself. Like, it was very immersive to listen to, but just as a book and a concept overall, it's not for me.